On the day of the inauguration, we called a council asking what we wished to inaugurate. We reiterated the persistent subtext. How shall we meet these times? The circles that have met since have had similar themes, the ways the government actions are affecting each person, their fears, and the possibilities. The Altadena, Pasadena, Palisades, Topanga, Malibu fires began with tiny embers, tiny sparks, and swiftly became infernos. The first action required is to get out of the way. The second, to contain, extinguish the fires, and limit the destruction. Then to repair and begin again. Beginning again is tricky. If we are wise, we will begin carefully and thoughtfully, avoiding what inadvertently led to these conditions. We will recognize that the earth and the animals and all the beings suffered inordinately, as well as the humans, and reconstruction needs to consider the well-being of all in order to avoid horrific occurrences. There is a conflagration in the White House. It is happening so fast, we don't understand what is occurring. When I began writing this, I made a list of what had occurred since January 20th, beginning with, and so on. I made a list. Each one of us probably has a list of our concerns at this particular time, and the big question of how to meet it. And whatever it was that Jeff and I talked about originally, when we considered what I might come here to speak about, it vanished in the fire, and it vanished in the fire, in my view, in the White House. I went on the Zen Peacemakers Facebook page the other day, and a strange miracle occurred, so to speak. Probably an AI miracle, but nevertheless, it has an interesting quality to it. Because what I saw immediately was a posting that I had made in 2016. And that posting appeared for a very short time, and then it vanished. And oh my goodness, am I not going to be able to find this easily? You'll have to bear with me as I try to deal with this technology. Okay. And the posting said the following. Peter Levitt shared this video. This is what he said. Some of you know, this is Peter, these are Peter's words. I'm assuming everyone knows the Zen teacher and a profound poet and splendid man from the Bronx. This is what he said. Some of you know I joined the Zen Peacemakers on retreat for 5 November days, and that we practiced in Auschwitz, sitting every day in the rain or cold at the selection site where the cattle cars came to stop. And with the flick of a finger, prisoners were sent to die immediately or to work until they died. It was quite an experience there. And I still cannot really write about it. I thought I knew something when I was there and came home. But what this clip shows is nothing I could have guessed. And parenthesis, I don't know what that video clip is that had been posted. But what this clip shows is nothing I could have guessed. I hope you'll watch it. It is no wonder to me that Donald Trump gathers to him the racist, misogynist, xenophobes who agree with what I consider his fascist agenda. It only makes sense given what this clip explores. I won't say more, but please decide for yourself how to connect the dots. What did come clear in reaching in looking at the comments was that it had been a clip about how Ford had been sending either armaments or vehicles to Hitler, knowing full well what Hitler was until the moment when we entered the war. And then, of course, Ford sold everything to us. So that was 2016. And in 2016, we were talking about the rise of fascism. And in 2025, I have been writing about the rise of fascism in this country. And more than that, because a very interesting article came out by Tim Ryback in The Atlantic. And the article is called How Hitler Destroyed a Democracy in 53 Days. And if you read the article, you will see that there's a real probability that the POTUS has a playbook from Hitler, and it is following it exactly. And I write about it in a book that will come out in April, May, June, maybe, called The Story That Must Not Be Told. And the book is the result of a collaboration between a German publisher whose prominent family supported Hitler and Germany in World War II, and whose shipbuilding firm had a slave labor camp on the premises, and an American Jewish writer whose father was also a writer. Arnold Posey lost his family, 10 brothers and sisters, and their children and grandchildren in the massacre of Jews in Belarus in 1943. In this book, which occurs because a young woman committed suicide in 1975, and her brother and I have been trying to understand the reasons, and we understand that it is that her suicide was an attempt to make known, but 50 years later, the implications of her family's collaboration with Hitler. And I bring this in now, all of it, this strange combination of events, fires, the earth burning, and the return of a president with fascist tendencies, and the necessity for all of us to bear witness and to meet these times. And we look back at what happened from 1933 to 1945 and see it happening again. Perhaps you have seen the photographs of the immigrants who were deported to a notorious prison in El Salvador without any due process. It echoes to another time. Perhaps you have read the words that are banned from any project that receives money from the government. You can't say words like woman or racist or trans or multicultural. Change of language. What is permitted? What is forbidden? The taking over of the Kennedy Center, like Goebbels taking over the culture. It goes on and on. I say this, it breaks my heart to say this. This is not what I wanted to speak about. And this is not what I know with any confidence how to meet. But I do know this, that many of us, when we were young, those of us who, and maybe there's some others beside myself, who were around in World War II, and who said as children, I would have liked to meet this well. I would have liked to know what to do. I would have liked to have spoken out. I would have liked to be a good person in the camps. And so here we are. Sin peacemakers in a horrific time, being asked, as you yourself say, to bear witness and to consider deeply, and then learning how to act. So, in thinking of how to meet this, I can only really think about what it seems to me I have known in the past, or what seems to me to have come in the past. So I'll tell you a little story. In maybe 2004, 2006, a friend of mine, a really remarkable woman who had started a social justice program in a university, had a dream in which it was clear that she was an imperialist. I told you what she had done so that you could begin to feel the discordant sense of a woman like that having a dream in which she was an imperialist. And because in our community, we recognize dreams in the old ways, that it is a possibility if you open yourself to the dreaming in in a way, willingness to understand them, that the dreams come not only to the person, but to the community, that the dreams are coming in the old ways to teach us how to live, to teach us ethics, to guide us in these times. So she had the dream about being an imperialist, and she brought it to the community. She was horrified. But if she had a dream about being an imperialist, then we had to consider that we were also imperialists, that we had somehow embodied the way of thinking of the culture unknowingly. And it was our task to see how we acted in these ways and try to root it out. And that was one of the times when we began to see, I began to think about how those of us born into this country and this time, born into Euro-American thinking, were inadvertently creating ways of being that led to violence and to war and to extinction. And began to think about how we would change our minds. About 4 years later, my dear friend had another dream. And in that dream, a group of indigenous elders said to her, "Give us your mind." And she was very scared. And couldn't do it. But it broke her heart that she couldn't do it. And she set herself to the task of also having the courage to give her mind to the indigenous wisdom ways. And so we also took that in very deeply and began to understand even more profoundly that the indigenous ways, Native American ways in this country, but indigenous ways all over the world. So all, perhaps, of our ancestors had ways of knowing that if we followed them, would help us live in such times. In 2012, from some grace, I received a transmission of what was given to me as 19 ways for a viable future for all beings. And what it seemed to say was that if we could follow these 19 ways, that our minds would change. And if our minds would change, that we would no longer be inadvertently acting in ways that led to war, violence, extinction. I'm not going to read all of the 19 ways, but I think I would like to talk about some of them because they are perhaps ways of thinking or being that could help us in these horrific times, we have never faced in this country times like these. And so, what if these ways of thinking will help us meet this moment? The first one was the natural world. Earth is the primary source of life and intelligence. If we could do more than understand what these words mean, but really begin to live with the idea that Earth is first, that if we live in such ways as not to do harm to the Earth, we will live differently. We will make different decisions. So it said at that time, we are called to reintegrate human life into the net of all beings. Disconnection from the natural world and human-centric and egocentric thinking have brought us to ecological disaster and looming extinction. To save our lives, to save all life, to save life, is to find all the ways to restore the original relationships with the natural world, the beings of the natural world, and the elementals as kin. In a world in which AI is suddenly and quickly taking over and changing everything, artificial intelligence on the one hand, and the natural world on the other. It's a major choice. The second one that felt essential is spirit exists. Spirit speaks to each of us in a particular and shared language, entering into a dialogue with the divine, developing and living according to a spiritual practice that arises from a real relationship with spirit. So many events have happened in my life that I cannot deny the existence of spirit. And maybe it's something else, we can call it anything. How did it happen that Peter Levitt's piece appeared once and then disappeared so that I could read it to you, so we could find the connection that Zen Peacemakers actually was somehow involved with revealing at the time that I'm speaking to you? How these things happen. Call it magic, call it wonder, call it X. But if we live in relationship to that kind of intervention or transmission, as I have experienced with these 19 ways coming, for which I will take no credit, not say, oh, I had these great ideas. No. Something came to me that was astonishing, and I devote myself to it. The seventh way was bearing witness, and this feels so essential at this time. It is so hard and so necessary to bear witness to the horror and corruption of our history and this time, and to scrutinize our lives accordingly. I was born in 1936. 1938 was Guernica. You're a very different person when you're born before Guernica. And when you're 9 years old, at the time that this country dropped the bomb. And for myself, I always knew that I did not want to turn away. I did not want to pretend it wasn't happening. And I didn't want to protect myself first. And so I'm saying these things. I'm saying the rise of fascism. I'm saying the rise of Hitlerism. I'm saying we're committing genocide. Maybe when you're born in 36, you can't leave it for someone else to say. The eighth one was disengagement. Consciously ceasing our involvement with those forms and values that we individually believe do harm to human and non-human beings, the earth and the future. It is so important in these times not to blame so much as to engage in self-scrutiny. Self-scrutiny as individuals, self-scrutiny as members of community, self-scrutiny as members, citizens of a country, and to live accordingly. It's so hard. And then the last one I want to speak about was the ninth one. Healing war, peacemaking, and the no enemy way. So, you know, these 19 ways come and they're so easy to read, and you can read them on my website. But to understand them and to live by them, I don't know if I could do it in a lifetime. And I'm so aware in the classes that I teach that the ones that always challenge everyone are the no enemy way. After everything that I've said, how are we going to live the no enemy way? That is, we do not create enemies. We do not engage in the violence that we see is coming, perhaps even at us. Well, that must be the very core of send peacemakers. And the practice that you devote yourself to. And so here we are together. How are we going to do this? How do we save a time, save a country, save peoples, save trees? The POTUS wants to cut down the national forests. How do we save the trees? I was thinking the other day, as almost everybody I know is thinking, when do you leave? When do you leave the country? And where does one go? When do I leave Topanga, which has become a sanctuary? We hope it is a sanctuary for all beings. When do I leave Topanga? Because of the fires? Because I'm so tired of packing up the car and evacuating, and packing up the car and evacuating. But then I was sitting and looking out at the patio, and a line of eucalyptus trees, which were the reason that I bought this house in 1981. I said, I can't leave these trees. They're my people. And I felt in my heart that that was really true. And unless I was given a mandate to evacuate, I could not leave them. And probably can't leave each other. Can't leave all of you. Can't leave those who can't afford to leave. Can't leave children. Can't leave colleagues. And can't leave trees. So I think I'd like to end what I'm saying to you, if I can find this, with something that surprised me and honored me. A friend of mine, James Janko, was in the West Bank for about 4 weeks this year, bearing witness to the destruction by the settlers and the IDF of villages. And at the end of the piece he wrote, he honored me by quoting something, and I'd like to quote that. We have to create the life and the ways together that we have in the past asked the government to provide for us. The way the people lived before the colonial mind took over. We can create sanctuary for each other and for all the beings. We can because we must. We can create sanctuary for each other and for all the beings. We can because we must. So Chloe asked me if I would also read a poem and or read some poems. So I think I'll end this particular section with a poem. The fall. It was said the beauty was so great, the trees wept, their leaves sweeping to earth in an avalanche of golden light. And though it was said the body of fire was rising, still the glow was shining down in rays, light falling, windfall, rainfall, waterfall, fall itself descended into the third corner of the year. And when she leaped into the curve of morning, even the whale was glowing with radiance before it too swept down into the sea on fire. It was said that the globe of the moon fell into the silver of the sea, and the weight of platinum raised the sun, spinning in a rhapsody of red, orange, purple that touched the hidden center of all that lived, the heart of the tree, and the eye of the raven, and the luminous body of the lion, and the bees opened, each one as beauty fell upon us all, and we rose up in praise. Sometimes it happens in this way, or that we are able to see it even in such times as these.
That was beautiful, Deena. Thank you so much. So why don't we take time now to open up for questions? You can raise your electronic hand or wave. Someone just asked if you wrote that poem, Deena.
Oh, yes. And it's not published anywhere. So you have the only public copy on tape.
Betsy Rose.
Thank you, Deena. So good to see you. Many decades passed, and very powerful. Thank you so much. The depth of your thinking and heart. I have a question, and I've had a question for a long time in my heart about the Hitler analogies and the Germany analogies. And it's the larger question is, how do we learn from the past and not be in denial about, oh, it couldn't happen here, but not over-conflate, because we are a very different country with a very different history. And there's traditions. I don't know my history real well, but I just know we have long traditions of rebellion and labor organizing and anti-racist organizing and, all of that. It's like the large strokes look the same, and no denying that. And for me, I just always feel called to look at the people, to not look so much at what they up there, whoever they are doing, but to look at the people and how people are responding and what's possible for us. And so I just wonder what your thoughts are about finding that balance of same but different, if you have any thoughts about it.
If I'm honest with you, I think it's very important that we see the similarities, because if not, we will be undone by it. And then, exactly what you said, then it is for us to find all the strengths, all the possibilities, not to say we are different, but to be different. I think that it is in our hands. This is not a theoretical situation. We are being called to be in whatever ways we begin to think we must to meet these times. Thank you, Betsy.
Are there any other questions or comments? Phoebe.
Hi, Deena.
Hi.
This is everything you're saying is stuff that I've been pondering for some time now. And one of the things that I'm most interested in is the question of, is there any special role that women in particular have in this time? Do you have any thoughts about that?
They say that the women survived the concentration camps better than the men. And that those who survived better than the others, that is, the women who survived best, were the ones who took care of everybody else. So if that is the quality, that the caretaking, the concern, the thinking about others is a quality that comes to women from maternity, perhaps, then let's take care of each other. Let us, all of us, expand those qualities of thinking about the community and not the self.
Thank you. Christina?
Hello, Deena.
Hi, sweetheart.
I also, before I ask, I think I saw Shoju's hand up, and then I raised my hand. So I just wanted to note that. And happy Shoju for you to go first. When you unmute.
I think I am muted. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I just wanted to throw in that I've been following the work of a group that's called Indivisible, which is a wonderful name. And they're arranging, and maybe many of you know about this, that coming up on April 5th, there's going to be nationwide gatherings of people who are standing up to all that we've been talking about. So if you're not, if they're very well organized, and they have all kinds of toolkits that they're willing to send out to you if you have a community that needs to help be organized. So check it out if you're interested.
Thank you, Soju.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for your for this wonderful conversation as well. So important. And for anybody who, I think it was probably the most transformative experience of my Zen practice was going to Auschwitz, and that was I don't know, I don't know what to say other than that it threw me so deeply into the importance of this practice that I can only say it would be I would advise others to do that too. Thanks.
Likewise, 2001 in Auschwitz and Birkenau, with also a lineage and a history. My mother's whole family perished there. And as you so profoundly speak, Deena La, that we are all here in solidarity and we are here to stand with one another. And for others on this Zoom, Deena La and I go back many decades. And so my question, as we all have received such immeasurable gifts today by listening to you speak, and also being familiar with the math, that you're in your 89th year and still committed, engaged, and tired. And so my question, as we are this circle of listeners and recipients of your gifts, what do you need as a human being whose life is devoted not only to the 19 ways of restoration, to your students, to the hill that you steward, these lands, these trees? What do you need from us?
I could wait for that question. I think what I need is what we all need. It's the we. That, this is the time for we, when we really honor being in community and responding to community. And it's a remarkable experience saying what I said to you, and feeling safe in my soul, that we can stand together. And we've known each other, Christina, for about 40 years. And so the community, the meetings matter, and we remember, and we are alongside each other. And also that you're all going to be looking for your own ways. There are all the familiar ways, but I think we need to find new ways. I think I'm looking for a quote. Give me a second. It's from Barry Lopez. Of the imminent danger to all life, Barry Lopez says in Horizon, dramatic change in the near future seems to be in the offing. And if the species is to achieve its aspirations for justice, reduced suffering, and transcendent life, and if it is to prevent the triumph of machinery that it so clearly fears, An unprecedented level of imagination is required. An unprecedented level of imagination. We have to go beyond what we know. We have to go beyond what we think. We have to change our minds and act from a new mind. And a range of responses and an intensity of connection and a lot of heart. Thank you, Christina, my beloved.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, thank you. So first of all, I want to just thank everyone for being here today. And I want to just recognize how deeply I can tell everybody, well, who's spoken, what I'm hearing is feeling all of this. I also want to put into the conversation some views that are maybe a little bit different, maybe a bit of hope. You know, I wanted to know what time we end until, so we have another half hour. You know, first of all, I come as someone who is a Jew, who lost many family members in the Holocaust, have deep trauma, and I am not at all concerned that America is going to be Germany and the Nazis. I'm reminded of, and I know on a call like this, it's funny to use a militaristic expression, but if you all have heard, the generals are always fighting the last war. Let's not do that. And I think there has to be vigorous debate, but I could go into a lot about why we are never going to see anything close to the Holocaust or anything like that in America. And I think, like Deena, you're saying, we need new ways. I also, and I hope it's okay, but I want to inject some things that are hopeful, because I think we are in an amazing world. And if we don't have the joy and celebrating, we're not going to be effective in just about anything. And I don't know if any of you ever read Nicholas Kristof of the New York Times, who every year puts out a column, and I have a lot of respect for him, and he's fairly left and progressive. And he talks about how every year is the best year to be alive on this planet. And yes, we face challenges, but he talks about things like we have the least amount of children dying at birth or infants than has ever occurred in human history. Poverty is lower for the world's people than it has ever been in human history. Literacy rates are sky high around the world. And one thing that I find incredibly interesting is that it's predicted that the world's population, because of women choosing to have less children, because of literacy and education, we will peak in the next 50 years with our population. And some are predicting that within 100 to 125 years, we will be back down to half the world's population that we are now. So there are some incredible things that are happening. I think the other thing I want to say is, when we talk about we and coming together as community, I guess I just hope, and I don't want to sound too preachy here, but we includes everybody. And when we resist the other side, if you will, the millions and millions of people who, for whatever reason, voted for this president, I think we need to be talking to them. And we need to be engaging. We need to be listening. We need to be trying to understand. And that, I think, is how we will change the world. And that's right here in our communities. There's so much we can be doing. Yes, let's vote for the people who can change things, but so much of our energy, if we put it right here at home, can create ripple effects that truly can change everything and impact people's lives. We can get off this call and go out there and go right over to the nursing home and bring flowers to someone who hasn't had a visit in 2 weeks. So I just want, I mean, it's not either or, it's resist, but also it's embrace. So I think we've got to have hope and celebration and reaching out and touching right where we live. So anyway, thank you for giving me time to throw these thoughts out there.
Thank you, Jeff. And I want to say that it is because I think we must have joy that I read the poem that I read about beauty and wanted very, very much to bring that in. I also think that community is incredibly beautiful. And let me just say, my father's family was wiped out in the Holocaust in Belarus. So I know something of what you're talking about. I made a pilgrimage to the death camps. I went to 10 death camps in 1989. And I believe in a no enemy way. So it would be anguishing if you and I were not working aligned for a world in which everything thrives. And thank you for everything you do. And I see next to your name, it says, it's either acts of kin or acts of kindness, but either way, thank you for both possibilities.
Okay, we have Constance.
My true name is not Constance. It's the name of my wife. So my name is Detlef. So my grandfather was a 100% Jew. He survived in the ghetto in Shanghai, and after that he didn't want to come back to Germany, so he went to Los Angeles. And just the background from my own history or from my ancestors, but what I want to ask Deena, how do you think I think there was also or is a big genocide in America with the First Nations. So the people quite often look to the Nazi Germany and to the Jews that and the people are traveling to Auschwitz. I'm not familiar with the things in America. Are there really places not like Auschwitz, but where the Americans can bear witness for this genocide that happened to the First Nations? So for all the others, for me, are the Second Nation, and so they're mostly from, also interesting. Most of them came from in the first time from Europe, but the question is, how do you think about this kind of genocide? How is it witnessed in America and other places where it is where it is witnessed?
This is the incredible heartbreak of our
people.
We can't put it in past tense. We're still finding the unmarked graves of the schools that the children were sent to, where they died, in Canada and in the United States. most of the Native American population of California was wiped out. And everywhere across this country. And it seemed to me that it was happening in full view as I saw the images of these Latino immigrants accused of being gang members and deported. In these incredible images of these men being walking stooped with hands on their necks, clearly being tortured. There's no doubt in my mind that Netanyahu, with the help of the United States, is committing genocide in Gaza and now the West Bank and Syria and Lebanon. And so we are doing that. And that's why I'm asking us to bear witness and to look with clear eyes and disconnect with any of our thinking that allows this to happen. Thank you for bringing it in. It is the great tragedy that is ongoing.
Thank you.
David?
Yes, thank you. Deena, first I want to offer you a poem.
Oh.
And it's one that it's part of my personal ritual of changing my life. And so I wake up every morning and I recite this poem twice, looking out the window of my apartment. And it's called The Presence of Trees. I have always felt the living presence of trees. The forest that calls to me as deeply as I breathe. As though the woods were marrow of my bones, as though I myself were a tree, a breathing, reaching arc of the larger canopy, beside a brook bubbling to foam like the one deep in these woods that calls, that whispers, home. And
why don't you do it again, David, since you do it twice?
Sure. It's actually by Michael Glazer, The Presence of Trees. I have always felt the living presence of trees. The forest that calls to me as deeply as I breathe, as though the woods were marrow of my bone, as though I myself were a tree, a breathing, reaching arc of the larger canopy, beside a brook bubbling to foam, like the one deep in these woods that calls, that whispers, home. I also want to respond, and I may have misunderstood, but the idea that it can't happen here. I don't know a few years ago if I would have ever imagined that it could happen in Gaza the way it's happening. And I agree. I've kind of taken an extreme stance where I chose not to own property, because how can I own stolen land? I'm not asking everyone to make that choice, but I think it's worth considering that wherever in the United States, pretty much, one owns a home and owns some land, it's stolen land. And have we embraced our history? Have we embraced the impact of that and how to meet it and how to deal with all of this? So I fully, if I may have misunderstood, but I fully embrace the idea of a new way of thinking. You know, and for me, it's beauty with a capital B. It's creativity. It's in the face of a friend sent me a message this morning. It's a musician, an Armenian duduk player, and the title of the song was "I Refuse to Be Sad in This World." And I struggle with that all the time, but I really have made this devoted commitment to beauty with a capital B. And that I can't speak of politics really, or history or religion, but for me, it's creativity, it's art, it's music, it's beauty. And for me, that's what moves me forward. So thank you. Thanks.
You know, David, I think it's something else that you do that is, if we understand it, it is as profound as anything. And in the center of that poem, it says, "As if I were a tree." That alliance with the natural world that you pursue, remind yourself of every single day, changes everything. Metakir Yasin has just been put in the chat. Means all my relations. If we, like the Lakota Sioux, practiced all my relations, if we reminded ourselves several times a day that we are related, we are kin to the beings of the natural world, everything would change. So thank you profoundly for that.
Thank you. Romulo?
First of all, thank you for the opportunity to share this time with all of you and for this wonderful presentation and for your time, Deena, sharing this with us. I feel like myself and many others might come from a place where we're experiencing deep disappointment, even heartbrokenness, even anger. And I found myself for a while dwelling too much in those emotions and trying to find a positive way to channel them into love, into compassion, into an attitude of no separation and not knowing. And fortunately, there's plenty of examples out there of brave people like many of you who have shown the way, writers that show this beautiful poetry. And I stumbled into those works and find inspiration. So I'm going to share a little something that came courtesy of L.R. Nust and says, "Do not be dismayed. Do not be dismayed by the brokenness of the world. All things break and all things can be mended. Not with time, as they say, but with intention. So go love intentionally, unconditionally. The broken world waits in the darkness for the light that is you." And when I read that, I truly felt like, you know what, there is hope. Each one of us can be light in whichever small way we can find to be a light. In whichever circle we can actually put some action nearby at our neighborhoods and at our little towns. I happen to live in the mountains of the Dominican Republic, far away from the noise of what's going on in the United States by choice, but knowing that no matter how far I live, it affects us all. It's just a matter of understanding that we're all one thing and that what affects Americans will affect the rest of the world as well. But I choose to try to find hope and to try to find ways to kindle myself into positive thinking and coming from a place of love and compassion. So thank you for this, and thank you for allowing me to share this.
Thank you, Romulo. Libby?
Thank you. Hey, Deena. Hey, everybody.
Libby.
Hi. Sorry I don't have video, but it's lovely to see all these beautiful faces together. I wasn't thinking of speaking, but I think I might because of this talk about the trees and so on. Born and raised in Alaska, and I have a song running through my mind. I won't sing it all to you, but I've written a number of songs from the perspective of trees. And one is called When Your Time Comes. And the first part is just, when your time comes, we will welcome you home. We will cradle you deep in our roots. When your time comes, we will open the soil so your bodies are surrounded by truth. When your time comes, we will draw the water in so your souls can float in peace inside our wombs. When your time comes, we will sing out your names. When your time comes, we will welcome you home. I won't go on, but it's a song about when we die, how they will hold us, embrace us, welcome us home, remember us, joyfully welcome us home. And I say this because one of the things that has helped me enormously in my life is, for starters, being born and raised up here, I faced my own death over and over and over and over, whether at the hands of bears or, avalanches or, boating possible accidents or ice or what have you, right? It's more a fact of life up here than in some other parts of the planet, and have lost scores of people in any number of ways. And when I think about these times, and when I've thought many times about the climate crisis, I realize that my problem is I'm scared of my own death. That's what I'm scared of, right? And that if I could hold that more gloriously, I would take even more risks, right? That I wouldn't be so scared. And I'm very, very aware that I'm not here very long. That even in the best of circumstances, I'm only here for a couple more decades, as it happens. And that helps me. It helps me, both of those things, knowing that I am returning to the trees and to the ground, and to that they are already me and I am already them, right? Just like the insects and everybody else, we're all going back into that same welcoming embrace. And also that I don't have that long anyway, frankly. So in some ways, taking these risks isn't risking as much as it may feel like. I'm not saying I'm not terrified to take them. I am, as we all are. But I do think it helps to know we're part of the ecosystem, both, of course, of the ground and all the birds and the grasses and everybody, and each other. So thank you for letting me speak. Thanks for being here. Thanks for calling us together.
Thank you, Libby. Thank you for your song.
Are there any more comments or questions? Beverly.
I'm very shy, so this is hard, but I suspect that a lot of people here are feeling what I'm feeling, that all of us, including you, Deena, are speaking our own minds and hearts. It's so astonishing. I mean, some people in this group I've known for a long time, and some I met 30 years ago, and some know each other well because they're part of this. But it's like we may have thought we've been alone in these feelings. I know I was once considered a crazy radical because I said that capitalism was the root of all these problems, greed, that everything you want has been cut out of the earth, and usually quite horribly, mountaintops cut off and gouged out, and that people don't seem to understand where things come from. They come right out of our own flesh and blood, which is what the earth is. And when you talk about trees, since I was a kid in the Bronx, there was one tree across the street from us, and that tree became sort of my God. I started out as a pantheist. So I don't want to go on and on, but I write poems, and I have one little poem called A Woman Lived in a Tree. Can I read it? It's short and maybe not quite as profound as some of this, but I'll try. Okay. It's called A Woman. A woman lived in a tree. The tree didn't mind, as she took up only a little room and got along well with squirrels. Her friend often wondered what might coax her down, but nothing interested her among the plains of people below. She watched the mountain, its mists, its rings of frosted cloud. She studied crows. She grew excited when a hawk pivoted red above. Air sparked her attention, wings. After a while, no one even remembered she was there or noticed. Beetles treated her like bark. This is how it is when you go too far. Soon you become what you love.
Beverly, will you put that into the chat? I think people would like to have it. It's quite wonderful.
That was lovely, Beverly.
Thank you so much. This is amazing. We really are one mind, one heart, and we all really need to understand that we are the resistance. And as you said, Deena, bearing witness now, what a lot of people are still thinking, like, what is this going to turn into? Well, it's already happening. Transgender women have been put in male prisons. What's happening to them there? Children who are immigrants have had lawyers taken away so that 5-year-olds are going to have to testify alone in court. There's so much, and of course, all that we have all these people that are saying out loud that we hate these other people. How can we allow that? We have to do something, and yet none of us really knows what to do, but somehow we'll find a way. Somehow. I believe that. Thank you.
I think it's important, Beverly, that we find all the ways, not a way. That there more ways than there are people, and we have to find them all. Thank you.